Okay, how's it going? Thanks for coming back and watching. Today's topic, I don't really know if this is a topic, to be quite honest. Uh, the whole COVID lockdowns and shutdowns and everything going on right now, it gives you time to think, doesn't it? Gives you lots of time to think. I know a lot of people are thinking about the election, they're thinking about the virus, they're thinking about all kinds of stuff, right? But it certainly has everybody thinking. And me being historically someone who is uh, uh, a rather heavy thinker, almost probably to a point of a fault. Uh, Thoughts getting away from all the election and virus stuff, which tends to drive a lot of people nuts. I have a lot of things that I do as far as hobbies and things. So the okay. I played banjo and I play guitar, and I historically have dabbled in some painting and artwork and woodworking. Of course, in spring, farming, summertime farming, gardening. I should say, not so much farming. If you want to call it micro farming, you could probably do that. Maybe, but. I think this time during COVID, we have had a lot of time to really start thinking. And for some reason, I have been on this little streak here for the past couple of weeks, revisiting old thoughts about intellectualism. So I keep conjuring up the times before the internet and the times currently of the internet and the broad expanse of knowledge that is at everybody's fingertip. And the redefining of intellectualism is essentially the type of thing that I often think about. You know, when I was a kid and we would see people and hear of people going off to college, getting educations, and getting, back in the 80s, a college degree, if you got a college degree, I mean, you were upper echelon. Like, it was something. It was something. Because you went and you got the books and you brought them into your life and you studied them and you learned all this knowledge and you retained and gathered and researched and refined your thoughts in the forms of notes and thesis and writing and all this stuff. There was a quality to the process. There was an honorability to the process. And looking into the 90s was pretty much the same way, early 90s, mid 90s. I think the mid 90s, late 90s is when things started changing because of the upcoming internet phenomenon. So we didn't really have too much internet stuff going on when I was in high school back in the mid 90s. It wasn't really till college, till later in college that the internet really started to blossom. Most of the connections that we had in college were campus connections. There was no, I vaguely, maybe Yahoo had just come out. There was no Google. There was no Facebook, MySpace. There was none of that. The internet was really pretty vague. Nobody really knew what to do with it. It was just kind of there, and you find a chat room, or you would log on and log on. It was a dial-up at the start, but you would turn the computer on, and the internet would kick in. You would use AOL, and it would kick in, and there wasn't a whole lot going on with it. And it doesn't seem like it wasn't really until Google started getting involved that the internet started really coming of age, and companies started building a website that people could visit. The .com era. So the beginnings of that, 2004, 5 ish, 2004, 2005, maybe 2003. That's arguable. But that's kind of where I'm at with my timeline and living through this. But this whole COVID pandemic thing has really had me thinking and really kind of analyzing the whole idea behind intellectualism. Like I said, back in the 80s, when you got a college degree, it was a prized item. And now we find ourselves in a conundrum with Google and Yahoo these search engines, and moving things into a digital database where people can literally ask a computer a question and it provides an answer. We have seemingly seen a change in how we get results, or how we obtain the information that we desperately want. And when I say desperately, I think I say desperately because it takes effort to really want to type and learn something. So anymore, with things being at the touch of a button, or in the palm of your hand, I am still on the fence of what this means long term for society. So, to be quite honest, back when the internet started, I was very skeptical, and I was very, I kind of knew that it was probably one of those things that humanity, even though they could create the internet and get it out to people, they didn't ask the question of should they. I was that guy. I kind of knew that it was probably going to end up not being such a great idea. And to be quite honest, I'm still kind of that way. If you look back and you look at the timeline and the socioeconomic and social cultural things that have happened and that are still happening because of the internet. For example, music has been watered down with, back in the day, there was a system called LimeWire, where you could log into the internet and you could essentially download songs for free. You could get all your music for free. Enjoying a root beer. And so what the music industry did was they saw everybody was downloading people would download one song off of a band, and they would download it millions of times. So instead of, progressing through that LimeWire phase, the music industry saw that the album essentially was being phased out. So now we still see albums, I guess you could say, but we see the downloading of single songs of music. So that changed, and then the whole piracy thing with trying to think. Oh, Napster, the Napster days. Yeah, that all went to court, and all these musicians started touting piracy, and we had the whole pirate thing. That was real big back in the early 2000s when the internet just started kicking off. But that's one example of just kind of how things have progressed. Now we see with social media and the influences that come across through that are pretty pronounced. So I'm still kind of on the fence about. I shouldn't really say I'm on. No, let me backtrack. I'm not on the fence. I still am in that group. If there's a group out there, there probably is. But I'm in the group that is still. I essentially see the internet as the channel to societal issue and potential downfall. I don't think the internet was really a great idea to begin with. It has its niceties. We pay our bills online through our banks. We have email, so if we can't talk or we want to share a picture with somebody, we can send it via email. And I think the wide use of cell phones is also questionable. I'm not going to address that directly right now, but I think it's empirically, if you really look back down through the past 25 years, 30 years, and really analyze what's what. And as somebody who is, I have always considered myself pretty self-aware and aware. I have a degree in history and education, so I've always seen myself as somebody who's paying attention to the times and following along and all that. So I do my best, and I stay in touch. And it's not always about reading tabloids or believing everything that the news channels are saying. I don't even really watch news. I don't have television. I don't have television or internet at my house. I refuse to have it. I do have the cell phone that I'm using right now to record this, but I do not have television or internet at the house. There's no TVs on. Can you hear them? No. We don't have TV, and there's no hardwire internet. There are things in life that I think most people could probably use a step back and analyze the importance of the types of things they're bringing into their home. So that's just my thought right now. The intellectualism thought, the progression of education, and the meaning of knowledge. People who hold knowledge, who have gone out and done research. What type of place do they still have in our world, if any, with the advent of putting education into the palms of every single person on the planet who has a smartphone? What does a bachelor's degree mean? What does a master's degree mean anymore? A PhD? What do we have to analyze, and who's making the basis of analyzation on the substance included in getting a degree of a PhD? Who's determining that? And what really is the core of those types of educational systems? So I'll leave it at that, and I've got a lot to say about that. This is something I do think about frequently, so I thought I'd share it. I'm going to wrap this up, so thanks for tuning in. If you have any comments, I'd happily cater to those. If there's anything said obscene or negative, I will delete your comment. If there's one thing about my channel, I don't put up with folks who are going to be one-liners in negativity, or people who are trying to be negative or talk down to anybody, especially me. I just don't have that in me to put up with, and that's that. So if it's something derogatory with profane language, I'm sorry, but you're gone, and you have no bearing on this channel. So that's it, and thanks again for tuning in and subscribing and everything. Pardon me. And catch you on the next video. So, giddy up.